Right.
Okay.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Alright, guys. So, good afternoon. This is the Adriana Johnson Show. And so today I have my mother, my lovely, beautiful mother, Miss Carol. So today I'm just going to be asking her a couple of questions. And, see how that goes. Alright. So, how you doing, Mommy?
I'm good. I'm great.
So, how do you feel being back in New York? Like, what's excitable to you? Like, how do you feel? Are you thrilled to be back in New York? Like, how does it feel?
I am thrilled. I am overjoyed. I am excited to be back home. Being able to just enjoy things that I appreciate now more than I didn't before. Just the places, so many places to see, so much to do that you don't even have to spend a whole lot of money for. New York is just a fabulous place. So I'm really excited. I'm excited about my life. Excited about being back in New York. So yes, I'm very excited. Very excited.
Well, you know, I'm happy for you because I was ready for you to get out. It just wasn't, you know, for you. I know that you need more of an exciting kind of lifestyle. So I get it. So I know that you're a teacher. You know, I've known that for some time. But how do you feel about what does education mean to you? So tell me a little bit about your perspective on education.
Okay. Well, education is exciting to me. I've always wanted to be a teacher from a little girl, you know, and always wanted to do that. Education is very important. Is just one of the most essential things that I think young people can do. Educating children from very young age, making sure they know how to read, they know how to write, is very important. It ties so much into my parents having gone, being raised in the South. Mom was born in 1940. My father was born in 1938. So they grew up in the Jim Crow era, against segregation, and deep South in Georgia, rural area. And they went to school and they graduated. My dad was class president. My mom actually got skipped a grade. And their parents, I guess at the time, it was very important. So education was important to them. And they instilled that education in their children, the 5 of us, that one of the rules in our house was that you are going to go to school. And you're going every day. There is no excuse. And we went to school. That they didn't kind of, you know, not enforce us to go on to college, you know, necessarily. You know, they didn't really enforce that. But they did insist that we go to school every day and get a high school diploma. And they knew the importance of that. So I knew the importance of that for my children. You know, I instilled in education in them that it is important. It's, you know, knowledge you cannot take away from anybody. When you know something, it advances you, moves you on to other, you know, to a level of understanding that you don't initially have, you know. So it takes you on to knowledgeable levels. So it's very important to me.
So how do you feel like that's been expressed in your children? Like, what does that mean for your children? What does their education mean for them?
For my children, my 2 daughters, you and Kyra, it means that you get to having gone through elementary school, junior high, finishing high school. I instilled in you all to do that. Make sure you did that. And I took it to another level that my parents did, that I instilled in you that you have to go to college, because especially these days, because you have to have a college education in order to get, the world is constantly moving, evolving, to get a good job, to go on, and what knowledge, what education does and when you go to college, it opens your mind to new things, to a deeper intellectual understanding of the world in which you live in. And so I've always, that's something that I always wanted to instill in them. And even when you all didn't want to go to school, I mean, you didn't want to pursue a college degree, or, sometimes you failed a course or something like that, I could get back on the wagon. You have to just buckle down. I constantly supported the both of you in, studying. That the studying aspect is very important. You have to study in order to and get those good grades, those A's, so you can get good money scholarships. I always said that. Stay on course. Stay on course. Don't give up. It's a long road. College is tough. I went to school. It's tough. I did it too when with raising the children. It's hard, and many women have done it. But education is very, it's very important. So I've always instilled that in my children. And thankfully, right about now, you're getting ready to graduate in about another 2 more semesters, which is wonderful. Your sister's getting ready. She's doing a double major. She'll be in there for a while, but you just keep chomping away at it. And you have something for yourself. That is the most important thing. You have something for yourself, especially women today. Don't just settle, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Don't just settle for wanting to be a wife or a mother. Don't just settle for not wanting anything in life. So you have a degree. Education gives you something to hold on to. So when you mess up later in life and you get back on track, you have something that you have something that you've accomplished. You can get back on track and do it. Everybody is looking for a degree these days, master's degrees, doctorates even. That's what the world is really calling for really these days. The business world and the world is calling for. So yeah, I instilled that in y'all to go. I'm encouraging you all to just even do your masters. I'm 56, but I still want to go back to school, and I want a doctorate. I might be 95 years old when I get it, but I have an ambition to want to go back to school to learn more, to be more knowledgeable. As long as my brain is working, I want to go back to school.
Thank you, Mommy.
You're welcome.
So I know that you've been in the Virginia school system for a while. So tell me a little bit about the difference that you see between the Virginia school system and the New York school system.
Okay. Well, there are various differences that compelled me to move from New York in 2007 to go to take both you and your sister. You were middle school at the time. Compelled me enough to move out of New York City and put you in Virginia schools. Have a different quality of life. The schools in Virginia at the time were 5th in the nation. In about 2000, they were 5th in the nation. From the top down. Which I thought was a pretty good position to be in. And I had lived there before, and so I just thought that was a better place. New York City schools at the time were not. They just, you have a lot of politics. There was just no focus on really getting kids to students at a certain level that they should be academically. And I did not want that for my children. So I decided to move. Virginia had a much better school system. Now New York has a great curriculum. They just have so many other problems, politically and stuff. But Virginia was great educationally, and you all did fabulous. It was like night and day at that particular time. So I'm glad I had made that move. And yes, there is a difference. There's a difference, and I think kids there were excelling. Now New York now is excelling. They have redone a whole lot, and politically, and
Well, what do you think some of the changes that they made in New York?
Well, what they did, I'm a product of New York City school. I went from kindergarten to 12th grade. I'm a product of New York City education, and at that time, naturally, it was far better. So, what they did differently now is that they rearrange. They have regional off. They rearranged it regionally. Um, One of the things that they do have done is opened up more charter schools. So I noticed that a lot of parents on the subway train, mass transit in the morning are just going everywhere with their kids. I mean, they're just traveling out of their neighborhoods and going into other neighborhoods. They have just kind of redistrict things. They've opened up more schools that, especially middle schools, that center more on the sciences, the political uh, issues, political schools, sciences, interdisciplinary studies. They have more specific schools, and I don't know too much, in detail, like percentage-wise and statistics and things like that. But it seems a lot better than it used to be. So yeah, there's a difference. They've regionalized things, and also New York City now they have opened up more opportunities for teachers, teaching positions. They're recruiting more people, teachers. So that has really made a great difference in a change in the public schools. So yeah, I think it's good. Like I said, can't really say that statistic wise, how what the statistics are, but I hear that academically the scores are somewhat rising. Academic scores are rising. So I don't know how really true that is, but because like I said, I haven't really gotten into that. So yeah.
Oh, excuse me. So I know that you do, teach kids with special needs. So there's something that's going on. It's almost like a lot of kids are starting to have these disabilities or these needs that they have. So what is it that you feel, and how do you feel being a teacher of special needs students? So how do you feel about this rise, almost
Right.
this epidemic
Yes,
in
yes.
kids with special needs?
Right, and I think it is an epidemic that is happening. It's really no different. I think children have always had there have always been children with special needs and disabilities. That's not something that's new to us. The autism spectrum, because they have such a wide spectrum that you can fit into, it has broadened, and I think that's due to the diagnoses, and so the numbers have increased. I believe last I remember or heard, when I was in Virginia, there's one in 63 or 64 children that are autistic, on that autistic spectrum.
Right.
One in 63, 64. That is enormous. Can you imagine 64 children and one child in that? It's too high. It's too high. So I think it's the diagnoses, and I think there are some incorrect diagnoses. They haven't narrowed it down. I guess there's some research going on, and we have to rely on the empirical observations and the research of autism. I believe from what I'm hearing, is that it's genetic and environmental, and I can see that. Yes, there's a rise, and it just, honest to goodness, I'm telling you, it breaks my heart. The numbers, and when I see these children, I work with preschoolers right now, 3 and 4s. Most of them are 3 years old right now. But the school goes up to 5. But there's a lot. The enrollment is very high in that particular school. But